What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Red Zone Chronicles. I'm your host, Javi. Super excited to see everybody, and thank you for coming back on my channel right after the draft. And we are starting a new series, if you will, and this is going to be the Seahawks series. And who better to have as a diehard Seahawks fan than my friend Hector? Hector, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So, Seahawks fan, and I'll start with this. I was a part of that bandwagon group back in the Russell Wilson got drafted days.
Okay.
So the first, full transparency here, the first jersey that I ever got was a Troy Polamalu one.
Oh,
because
okay.
I had long curly hair down to here, so that's the one that my
Steelers,
wife got me. Yeah.
Okay.
So, dude, I went to so many Super Bowl parties back in the day, but just because I was a fat kid and going to the Super Bowl parties just to eat.
Yeah.
So that's all I knew about football. I'd watch the game, some of the halftime shows. I'm like, that's cool, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't until my now wife got me into watching some of the games. So I came in starting watching football, like trying to understand it, Russell Wilson's rookie year.
Okay.
So that's the year that we lost in the playoffs against the Falcons. Niners went to the Super Bowl against Baltimore, and that was fun. Even though we lost, I was like, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I was spoiled, of course, because then came the Super Bowl run for Seattle the next couple of years.
That was a Legion of Boom. And,
Legion of Boom, man.
Yeah.
I
remember that. I'm a Broncos fan. we ran into that a couple times.
Man, I had unrealistic expectations when the Seahawks had struggled so long, and I made a couple of playoff runs here and there, but nothing that serious. Well, not since like the Steelers-Seahawks Super Bowl 05-06. But I mean, had Legion of Boom, had Baldwin on the team, had Marshawn Lynch,
Jermaine Kearse,
Jermaine Kearse was killing
Russell.
it. Those were some of the most exciting games ever, and I think everybody agrees that in that era of football, those were the funnest games to watch too. So yeah, super spoiled, and then the following year. This far, man, this far. Funny enough, we were talking to this dude earlier about a concert that I went to, and that was actually at State Farm Arena, the Cardinal Stadium.
Okay.
Well, that's where Super Bowl 49 was at.
Yep.
So I'm watching the show, and then I look over here, and I see the distance of that 1 yard line right where it happened. I'm like, Marshawn could have gotten it in,
gotten
bro.
The 1 yard. Why'd you throw it?
Yeah, and then that field is cursed.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know if I've ever told you about this, but that's where Seahawks go to die. So
injuries or what?
Injuries and end of careers.
Okay.
Earl Thomas being wheeled out, flipping the bird to Pete Carroll. Last game as a Seahawk.
True. Okay.
Pete Carroll's last game as a coach there. Russell Wilson's
weird.
last game there. Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, I already mentioned him. Tyler Lockett's last game.
So is there like they put a hex on you guys?
I think so,
There's
dude.
a voodoo,
I think so.
there's a voodoo
Wait,
shit
no.
going on.
Redact that one. Not Lockett's last game.
Okay.
But yeah.
But every other Seahawk great in the last 10
and a
years.
lot of injuries. Jimmy Graham got hurt on that field when we had him. Who else got hurt? Paul Richardson got hurt, and before he went over to the Redskins, now Commanders. So yeah, I have my biases against that field.
Hey, as long, you have your biases against anyone in the division, rightfully so, because I'm a Broncos fan. I'm not a huge fan of the Raiders, the Chiefs, or the Chargers. So that's fair to say.
If I'm critical of anybody else in the West, is my own fan base.
Okay.
I like I'll give props to like the division rivals first before I talk too much trash. I will every now and then.
Sure.
But I hate when people spout at the mouth. And not that I'm like superstitious.
Yeah.
But they start talking about all this off-season moves and good. Now we don't have to pay Metcalf or Lockett and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, they gave us some of the most entertaining games.
Oh yeah.
Like one thing that you can say about like Rams and Niners fans is they're way more loyal than Seahawks fans because it's like goodbye Metcalf, blah blah blah. I'm like, bro. He chased down Buda Baker.
Yeah, like let's give a little bit of credit where it's due. Like, come on now.
That dude gave some of the coolest games. He freaking schooled Stephon Gilmore coming out of that defensive player of the year. And he schooled him.
That guy was a specimen. I talked about that on one of my podcasts, and DK Metcalf looks like he was freaking built in a lab, dude. Just chiseled beyond belief. 6'4", 6'5", just runs whatever the 440 or 40 that he ran was. Just an anomaly, man. That guy, And I don't think he was asking for a trade, so I don't think it was.
No, I think it was time for a move too. Obviously, like behavioral things or whatever, but he's human, dude. You pay these guys so much money, and they're freaks of nature. It comes with the celebrity status and all that. They're gonna have their egos and all that stuff. But the one that I think does hurt a little bit more is Lockett, man. Tyler Lockett, what a gem.
And if everyone on here doesn't know, we're both realtors. So we are realtors with Keller Williams here in New Mexico, and Tyler Lockett is also a realtor for Keller Williams.
With Keller Williams, he works
Seattle
and Texas. I actually sent him a referral form.
Okay,
just in case he ever wanted, if for some reason he ever sees this.
Broker out here.
You got your homeboys over here. I'm a diehard Lockett fan, but he actually got licensed the same month as me, and we locked in our first deal. Same day.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Well, at least that's what it looks like. Because, with social media posts and stuff like that, I put up my first sale. He put up his. I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. What a coincidence. But that dude is just the epitome of a good, solid dude. Like, there's people like that all over the NFL, even outside of the team, that you can't just help but love them to death.
You cheer for them even when they're not on your team anymore.
100%, dude. Like, I think one that comes to mind is, he's a freaking goofball, but you can't hate George Kittle.
Yeah, no,
and now he's going to be a problem in my division for 4 years. He just
signed another extension,
But
he's the same way. He's got the energy, he's got the charisma, he's got the aura. Same as Tyler Lockett. I think Tyler Lockett just seems like a very down-to-earth guy, willing to help people around him and willing to help other receivers coming in that are rookies or first years or just coming from a different team. Like, he seemed like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And that's gonna he's gonna be missed.
It's crazy, but it should be an interesting season. I can't contribute much to the draft stuff because I was just telling you before anything is I really don't watch college. I'll watch the championship games and then obviously draft day to see that first batch of
who you guys get. Yeah,
especially like these last couple of years, I paid more attention to it because that's where we ended up with Jackson.
Yeah.
And then we also ended up with Witherspoon in that first round 2 years ago, and those guys are blossoming pretty good too. So that, and I had to do a little bit more research this time around. So you were hitting me up, and I'm like, dude, I'm just now getting off of work and trying to catch up to see who these guys even are, what they do.
Going back to the draft, obviously we don't, you said you don't keep up too much with it, which is totally fine. I think when you guys are in a boat where you signed Sam Darnold, that's your guys' head, quarterback. So Geno Smith is gone. He's with the Raiders now. So Sam Darnold, I feel like could be a great starter for you guys. Also could be like a little bit of a bridge quarterback. So you guys went out and got the Jalen Milroe from Alabama, who a lot of people talked highly of, right? Really crazy athlete. And so I'm really excited to see you guys because you have Sam Darnold there and then just picked up Jalen Milroe to sit under Sam Darnold, learn. He doesn't have to start right away, which I think is awesome for you guys. So I think you guys are on the up and up for that sense.
So it's funny because outside of this, I was asked, do you prefer Geno or do you prefer,
Darnold?
Yeah. And I like them both. It's funny that they both come from the being drafted by the Jets and kind of like this big old hype around them that never flourished.
People forgot about Geno Smith when he was with the Jets. They were like, oh, he's washed. He can't play. Well, and then he rejuvenated his career with you guys.
He rejuvenated it, and he went on his revenge tour that first year with Seattle. Well, not the year where Russ got hurt, where that's the first actual NFL game that I ever went to was that Thursday night football game against the Rams where Aaron Donald.
Oh, talk about Russ,
man.
Talk about the best defensive player that we've probably seen in our
man. And that's their Super Bowl year. Yeah. That's when they beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Is that when he was doing the ring me? He was like, ring me picture.
He's like, awful, man. I think if I were to say that I'm bitter against one team, it's the Rams.
Okay.
So they were super talented that year. But it's almost like a little kid with no limit on a credit card went shopping.
Dude, yeah.
You go get Odell Beckham.
Yep.
You go get Jalen Ramsey.
Well, they did the F them picks, right?
You get Von Miller. Yeah. And this isn't now, because they're still active now.
Yeah.
They're maybe not in their prime, but at the tail end of it.
They're right after,
And then you already had Cooper Kupp. You had Robert Woods.
Yep.
You have Matt Stafford that you bring in, which you can't blame them for making all the right moves.
Sure.
But that was such a questionable year to begin with because it's the year right after COVID.
Yeah.
The scheduling sucks. Like you can look and see because we're set to play that not Monday Night Football. We're playing on Sunday there, and they had some players that were sick. They had COVID, and so they delayed the game.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, we end up with some of our players sick, and they enforce it, and we have a Wednesday night football game.
I remember that, yeah.
And then the calls, which I try to be fair, dude. There's so many calls that you could say Seattle benefited from. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you don't ever want a game to
Be
fall
decided by
down and
that.
be decided to that.
Yeah.
Dallas. You
Yeah.
see him, DJ Dallas.
Yeah.
About to, and the most horrendous since like the Saints Rams championship game,
Yep.
like a pass interference that doesn't even get
Blatant,
called, and
yeah.
it's like I'm not a fan of those calls, like the pass interference calls. Remember that there was a whole time where people can call those. That's too much baby cry.
Yeah.
But review the stuff. Dude.
Yeah.
Review the stuff. I think if anybody fell victim to that at all was the entire AFC West with the
Oh,
Chiefs this
Mahomes,
year.
man. And that's the thing is Mahomes was getting away with it because he does the teeter-totter walking the line kind of play where he's running out of bounds, but he's not quite out. And the minute you go to hit him, he just steps his foot out and you hit him, and then they call a flag. So I'm like, that is bullshit to me because I'm like, if you're going to go out, that's fine. You get a couple extra yards, you go out. That's fine. They don't hit you. If you're running on the line, you're walking on the line, and then you get beamed out of bounds and you're going to be complaining, it's like, dude, what do you want the guy to do? Just keep letting you teeter-totter that line and tiptoe all the way across to the end zone? Like, we got to take you out.
See, and that's why, and again, it sounds a little biased, and I came in at just the right time. Defenses aren't allowed to play like they used to.
No.
Look at
Yeah.
the Broncos defense, the Niners defense,
Yeah.
the Legion of Boom,
Yeah.
the Patriots defense not too long ago with Stephon Gilmore before
Yeah.
he left there. Those guys were allowed to
Oh,
play
yeah.
games.
I do miss, like, seeing, like you said, the Legion of Boom, seeing Cam Chancellor just absolutely annihilate people. Like,
Dude, Davis, that's an iconic freaking against the Niners, and that was a flag. Even
Yeah.
for those days, that was a
Yeah,
flag.
yeah.
I saw that game, dude, and he lays him out, and I'm like, that's not cool, bro.
Yeah.
That dude has a family.
Yeah,
you
dude.
can't be doing that.
this is a grown man.
But I think of my favorite rivals. I love the Niners, dude.
Yeah.
I hate the Niners,
But you love to
I
hate
love
them.
the
Yeah,
Niners.
yeah.
Because you got to respect all that homegrown talent. Obviously, they got Christian McCaffrey. Who, if any team had the opportunity to do it like
I would
they
sign
did,
that guy.
100%. Well, 5 years ago, you'd sign that
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
But Kittle,
Yeah.
homegrown talent.
Yep.
I mean, Debo
Juice
Samuel
check, yeah.
isn't there anymore,
Yeah.
but for all those years, Ayuk.
Yep. I like Purdy, man. I don't know. He gets a lot of
solid.
hate.
He's
Well, he
solid.
just gets a lot of hate, and I'm like, dude, he's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not cocky.
He's
goes
the best
in, he
quarterback in
works.
that division right now.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I don't understand the hate on that guy. Like,
And I only say that because IQ-wise, Stafford,
Yeah.
all day. He's got the experience. He still has an arm.
he's a Hall of Famer.
But you also had Cooper Kupp to throw to. Which,
Yeah, you had weapons.
where'd he go?
Yeah, he is with.
Oh, that's right. He's a Seahawk.
Took me a little bit.
Trick question, bro. Oh, man.
He went back home because he went to Washington State, I think, or school in East Washington, or one of those schools.
He
out
did,
there.
and that's one of those players that I loved and hated, just like Kittle.
Yeah.
I mentioned. Like I'm just like, man, that dude is so good. But Puka.
Yeah.
Puka's a
yeah.
menace, dude. Since his rookie year, he's a menace, and he's going to be a problem.
Let's get into this though. I have some questions for you. It's a very laid back kind of environment, and we're just kind of talking Seahawks football. You know what I mean, for the Seahawks edition. I wanted to start with who we think about Mount Rushmore, right? Four faces on the mountain. Who is your all-time favorite Mount Rushmore Seahawk players? They didn't have to always be with the Seahawks. It could have been just someone that is kind of known to be a Seahawk. Even if they moved around.
So I mean, if it's only players, then you got to move this dude to the side. But Pete Carroll.
Okay, no, I'll take that. I'll take that.
And I'm not including him, but
Yeah.
you got to make a mention
Absolutely.
of him. That dude brought a crazy culture to Seattle.
Yeah.
That old man got
The
down,
energy, man. He got the energy.
You just see him.
Yep. With the
Everybody
big
all
old,
fired
big old
up.
Chicle coming in mouth. And
Everything about that dude, like he's a genuine leader, and I think that the
people
Raiders,
gravitate towards him.
the Raiders are going to do good
Yeah.
because of leadership like his. And
Yeah.
then you got Geno that followed him over there
Yeah.
too. They drafted well.
Ashton
I think,
Jensen,
and I'm being as unbiased as I can be, but Seattle got the best draft out of
yeah.
any of the teams. But I think close to that is Bills and Raiders.
Yeah.
That they killed it.
Yeah.
But Pete Carroll, that's our Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
our last Super Bowl we went to too.
He just had,
back to back.
he had everything. He had the energy. He had the understanding. It seems like he could relate to the players. Obviously, he's a lot older than the players and things like that, and maybe he doesn't come from the same background as a lot of those guys. But when he got in the room, like I feel like he demanded the attention and he got it, like in the respect, and I think the players just gravitated towards him naturally. He didn't have to try.
So with people that belong in that Mount Rushmore, I can't try to be fake and like name the Sean Alexanders or the Steve Largents, which they belong up there.
Sure.
But I'm just speaking about people like within the time that I've been watching football and all that. So obviously those dudes.
Yeah.
Easley's anotbe one. Kennedy, you know. So all those guys belong up there. But if it were like my time frame, Cam Chancellor.
Okay. Yeah.
Just that dude, man. The game that comes to mind when I think of Cam Chancellor is that Patriots-Seahawks revenge game.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football. Him and Earl destroyed Gronk.
And that's great. Arguably, Gronk is the best tight end that we've seen in our era.
One of the most exciting games ever, and those dudes just fought tooth and nail. Yeah. Every little blade of grass was fought on that 4th down, 1 yard line. How poetic that 1 yard line, Brady to Gronk, and Cam got in the way. And actually, Gronk pushed off Chancellor, but that was 4th down and end of game. So we ended up winning that one. I would have rather won the other one.
Sure.
On the 1 yard line. But speaking of Earl Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
Earl Thomas was a beast, dude.
Yeah, that guy's...
I actually, when I was considering it, I went back to look back at like old footage and stuff. He would come in darting.
He's like a missile. He's like a missile.
Crazy, dude. And now looking at
he hit hard too. I mean, I think Chancellor got all the hard hitting.
Yeah.
Right? But I think
Thomas,
he's bigger. He's a little stronger, a little slower because he's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But Earl Thomas had that same kind of grit, that same
mean, dude.
I'm coming in.
And super coachable too. If you look back at some of the games where Pete tells him to regain his composure and to look out for certain things, like on
you
it,
gotta do
like
this,
made the adjustments and then went and finished off games like that too.
Yeah.
So
you got the two star safeties of your Super Bowl right there.
I'll go offense for this one and then back to defense. Marshawn Lynch, dude.
Oh, okay.
Marshawn Lynch brought the freaking culture.
Yeah. Beast mode.
He was so much fun, dude. The things that dude was able to accomplish with his body was insane. And
he was just eating Skittles on the sideline, just like has a beanie like half on. It's just like, put me in, coach. Like,
and he's a humble dude, man. Like he's such a cool dude. Like you watch the stuff that he does off the field now, and he's just an entertaining guy, and he's just fun to watch and all that. But I think last but not least, Richard Sherman, man.
Wow, okay.
Richard Sherman goes up there just because if it's not Richard Sherman, we don't have that first Super Bowl.
Okay.
That little tip on top of Crabtree.
Yeah.
And then
you're going to try me with the sorry receiver like Crabtree?
The whole thing that comes down after that. Poor Crabtree's like entire career just kind of fell apart after that too.
Crabtree got into it with Richard Sherman in that game. And then he had it in with, wasn't it him and Talib from Broncos?
Crabtree,
when they snatched his chain? And,
because he went to the Raiders. Was it that year or the year after? I think it was
the year after.
Yeah, because, I mean, I feel bad for the Niners, but that's kind of what ended that little era of their almost dynasty because they did real great against Baltimore, even though they struggled at first. But then, I mean... I don't think you can replicate the Legion of Boom, man.
No.
Like they talk about the 2000 Baltimore team or 99, something like that. 85 Bears and stuff. I think,
and maybe being biased, obviously, I'm a Broncos fan. I think the no-fly zone was the closest thing to it.
Yeah.
But those two are like, and like you said, are kind of, in my opinion, untouchable in terms of secondaries. And I would just say defense because I mean, you guys had, like you just mentioned, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman. You had Bobby Wagner in his
KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner,
dude,
Cliff Averill.
Yeah.
You had
was it Maxwell? Was that the time?
Byron Maxwell.
Yeah, he was at a long, rangy corner.
And then our Super Bowl MVP, Smith.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Malcolm Smith.
I forgot about Malcolm Smith. Yeah.
And like that's just not fair.
Yeah.
That's almost like what I just critique the Rams on, but that was all homegrown talent. I mean, we got some players from somewhere, but it's not hey, we went and got this superstar. We just moved some things around. But that's what made that so much fun. And quite frankly, I didn't appreciate it as much.
I don't think I did either. And we want to. It was kind of like now that we're talking about it, we kind of had a similar, like our teams had a similar kind of run where it's like when we had the no fly, we had Peyton, who wasn't at that point. Honestly, let's be real, he wasn't great.
Yeah.
And so it was really our defense that kind of carried us into the Super Bowl, and then beating the Panthers was the Von Miller or I think it was DeMarcus Ware strip sack when the ball fell down and Cam Newton could have jumped on it, didn't. We got it.
Crazy.
That was
bro.
Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Derek Wolfe, Todd Davis, T.J. Ward, Chris Harris, Aqib Talib.
Yeah.
Kind of like you guys. Like that's what I'm saying is like people say like offense wins games, defense wins championships. Yeah. Like I think of our two teams in their respective eras.
And quite frankly, too, like to talk about that era of Super Bowl 49, Super Bowl 50, or 48 to 50, that was an unfair Super Bowl with Seattle. Von Miller was hurt.
Yeah.
And I mean, that offense destroyed everybody. Yeah. That was one of the best offenses.
Yeah.
Was it the best offense ever?
Yeah. That was Julius
I think
Thomas,
it might be.
That was Eric Decker.
Crazy. Because I remember all the absolutists talking about there is no way that, I mean, now Peyton's the one that has all the experience in the Super Bowl, and you got all these rookies and young kids and blah, blah. Decimated them. That was one. It went my way. One of the most boring Super Bowls after halftime, bro. Percy Harvin freaking runs it in 12 seconds into that second half. I'm like, oh, okay.
When the halftime was over, and we were already getting kind of blown out, but I was like, you know what? It's a new half. I'm like, we get the ball. I'm like, I was like, let me watch, right? I'm like, you never know, right? As soon as you guys got the ball actually first.
Yep.
As soon as Percy Harvin got the ball and took it to the house, I changed the channel, dude. I was like, I'm done.
I was still freaking humming Bruno Mars, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and all that.
I was like, well, wipe my hands. The safety started kind of the downfall. The very first play when Peyton went to
12 seconds in,
changed the play, and the center hiked it over his head, and it was a safety. That game was but you guys earned it. I mean, it wasn't like obviously we played terrible, but like I don't downplay. Like you guys just came ready. Like you earned it.
It wasn't mistakes.
No.
So like I think the closest thing that we've seen since then is Eagles Chiefs. This last Super Bowl, because the Eagles decimated the Chiefs.
That was fun for me to see.
Chiefs mistakes.
Yeah.
I think Broncos came in ready to play and right and everything, but that defense just bullied them, dude. Like you're talking about like every 20 seconds you'd see somebody running in the other direction with a pick six or with a forced fumble or something.
Prepared and with the energy. Like you guys were there to play. You were there to ball.
And I think that Seattle hasn't been that way since maybe after that Super Bowl was.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm just like, because like we're in a whole different arena as far as what we do for work, but your culture has something to do with wins. And I haven't seen that come. You know who I saw that from? Freaking Niners coming in, hopping down that with the boombox and everything in our own home, like with the chains and everything. Yeah. That's sick, dude.
There goes a lot to say with that. Like you just said, like culture's huge. I think in any sphere. Yeah. In real estate, like if you're on a team that's not the great fit for you, the culture's not the right fit, it'll affect you. It could affect your production. It can affect how you do well. Just work in general. Like you work in an office, you're a doctor, whatever your profession is. The culture I think is so important, and people don't focus on that enough. Yeah.
So that's what I think some of these teams, and obviously you don't like them, and quite frankly, I wish that they wouldn't have had all these little weird, funky wins, but I think the Chiefs have had the perfect culture too. Yeah. There's an asterisk with this last season because of so many close games and everything like that. They have all the talent. They have all the football IQ. They have all the raw energy that a team needs to win. Yeah. But all these little question marks of what if they don't beat the Falcons the way that they did that Sunday night football game? What if that Raiders-Chiefs game doesn't end the way that it does on that field goal that never happened, or the people that had a similar season, or the team that had the similar season to the Chiefs, just shitty luck were the Bengals, dude. Yeah. The Bengals were one of the most gangster non-playoff teams ever. And if they're any bit of that team going into this next season, they could very well win their first Super Bowl, dude.
Absolutely.
Now that they locked in T. Higgins, now that they locked in Jamar Chase.
Talk about a culture. Yeah, they have that there too, because they have Joe Shiesty. You got Joe Burrow in there. I'm an LSU guy, obviously. So got Joe Burrow. You got Jamar Chase, which is arguably top 2 or 3 receivers. You can argue number 1 in the
Yeah.
NFL. They got a culture there, right? They got a good coach. They got a young coach, and I think that the Seahawks are kind of getting back to that point. And you got Sam Darnold now, who's kind of jumped around a couple times, but he just had a really good last season. You know what I mean? So I think that you guys are kind of in that, not necessarily even a rebuild. It's like you guys are just getting back to your roots of the culture.
One of the things that it just clicked like a couple of days ago was Sam Darnold was with the Niners.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that he's got that experience over there.
Yeah.
But as far as like the position that we're in right now, it's not anything like it, but it's a version of we're defense minded.
Yeah.
McDonald is very defense focused.
Yep.
So I like that. We got some young.
He came from the Ravens, right?
Yep. Ravens defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And
Which
the year they lost against the Chiefs, man.
If anyone knows the Ravens defense, just how they've been over the years, you know?
I've always been a fan of those defensive-minded coaches like that Ravens team because they were gangster too, man. They made it into the championship game. It's just for some reason the Chiefs come in and they got the right plan against the Bills, against the Ravens, against who they play in the against Bengals twice.
Yep.
They lost to one, but
I think a lot of it goes back to, like you said, culture fit with like in regards to how crucial the quarterback and the head coach are for a team. Like we've been struggling with that for a while because we've gone through like 6 head coaches, right, in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like, hey, we're bringing Sean Payton in, and it was like, okay, well, let's see how this is. And I thought last year was going to be our rebuild. I was like, this is going to be a rebuild, man. Like this is, and then we draft Bo Nix in the first round, and I'm like, I didn't watch any tape on this guy. I'm like, did we just reach for this dude? And it's a little early to say, right? He was a rookie last season, so he's going into his first real full year, right? Or second year, I should say. But he's got something, dude. I watched Bo Nix, and I'm like, he's not perfect. He's not as polished as some other guys are, but when he gets off the field, dude, I don't know. He's got this energy.
He's got that dog in him.
Yeah, he's got like this charisma, dude.
He's good,
the Riz,
dude.
You know?
Yeah, and you know what? Obviously, it didn't go the way you wanted it. The Bills were on their toes in that playoff game.
Yeah.
And nothing said fuck
with the rookie
you
QB.
Like that long pass to start things off for a quick 7. That shut.
Yep.
And
that's Josh Allen, man. I mean, we play Josh Allen. You know what I mean?
If you were to ask me what the most diehard fan base is, not even close. Bills Mafia is the number 1 fan base.
Yeah.
I don't even think that should be an argument.
No.
Even Patriots championship era, because they were spoiled. They had Brady. But these dudes, rain or shine or 12 feet of snow, whatever the hell,
those burning tables,
die hard, man.
Yep.
And I feel like I could walk in with an opposing jersey and they'd still cook for you and love you and everything, dude. I think they're the best fan base ever, man. They're definitely not bandwagon. So I really hope that they end up in a Super Bowl. But
who's your current favorite player right now? We talked about past players that you kind of put on your Mount Rushmore: Earl Thomas, Chancellor, Sherman, and who was the fourth that you said?
Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch. Yeah. So as far as current players go right now, with the way the team is set up, who's your favorite player that you're kind
So I'm excited about our defense, and believe it or not, I like Mafe.
Okay.
I think he's a little hidden gem right there. Yeah. I think he's grown into his role.
I think is it Oboye Mafe?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah. And I think that we have a lot of defensive pieces now.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not talking. Every 5 years, we're like, oh, Legion of Boom 2.0 or something like that. It's like,
just stop. Yeah.
Shut the hell up, man.
Yeah. That was its own thing.
That's what makes me dislike my own fan base. is when people are like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they hype it up like crazy.
They try to compare it.
Yeah. So no go, man. But I really would like to see. I mean, we were a third of a game, a fraction of a game short of winning the division.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the math was behind it, but it shouldn't come down to the mathematics and the scheduling and everything, because the Rams won it.
Yeah.
If Seattle would have won it on that technicality, I would have been perfectly fine with it. And the Rams earned the shit out of it because they came from a 1-5 deficit.
Yeah,
they earned it, dude. And they whooped our ass in Seattle week 2 or something like that. And that week 1, something like that. I think that's how we started off the season. But they earned it, and that's a good team, dude.
Yeah.
If you were to tell me who I think is going to win the division, I think the Niners got decimated. Where'd all their defensive players go, bro?
my team, and one of them just got hurt.
I think he's going to recover quick. But
Yeah.
that dude, I mean,
We took two of their stud defenders. We took Hufanga on the safety, and then Greenlaw. So
Greenlaw, man,
I love watching him play.
He stopped like so many games come down to an inch with Seattle, but he stopped us. 2019, the last game of that decade. Yeah. Sunday Night Football. Yeah. And that's for the division and for the number 1 seed. Yeah. And he stopped I think it was Kobe Parkinson or something like that. Yeah. That he stopped right there, man. And Russ had a cannon. He threw it perfectly and everything. But just that was the year that the Niners were hungrier, dude. You can't stop them. You know what's funny is I did the math on it since Seattle left your division, the AFC West, and have been in the NFC West. About 50% of that time frame has been our division, dude.
Yeah.
And
that's because even the Rams before Sam Darnold got there, let's be real, like they weren't much, you know what I mean? Once Darnold got there and Stafford and for the Rams.
For the Rams?
Yeah.
Sam Darnold?
I'm sorry, not Sam Darnold, I'm sorry, Stafford.
Gotcha.
Stafford and Donald.
Gotcha.
So when those guys got there, that's kind of when their wing kind of started with McVay.
And, McVay is a great coach. Yeah, he's a young Pete Carroll. Yeah, he brings all that energy, running across the field. I just like him. His people holding him back just to make sure that they don't get a penalty. But they're smart, dude. And even the years that they swept us, like it was close games, and it came down to super strategic, not stupid mistakes. Yeah. What I hope McDonald can do for us is, everybody's going to have false starts. Everybody's going to have pass interferences and stuff like that. We lose games on those things.
Yeah, those are big
and a lot of teams do too, but I think we're the biggest outliers for those things. That's not bad ref calling and all that stuff. And maybe if it is, why put yourself in a position to be like that? Yeah. Like, you just got to own it and mind your own bullshit.
Well, dude, I mean, obviously you don't keep up too much with college, but your first overall pick this year was Gray Zabel. And if anyone watched my other episodes, it was Gray Zabel was on my top, 1 through first round going, for sure. And everyone loves that pick. I think you guys killed the draft overall. But that was like a pick that I was just like, this is a dude that can play 10 to 12 to 15 seasons as your either tackle or guard, wherever they want to put him. He can play all over the line. And I see all the analysts everyone every year is like, Seattle's, please just draft a first round offensive lineman. Pick one of these stud and they go receiver, or they go cornerback, or they go some other
running back when we got Rashard Penny.
Yeah. And so this is everyone was really touting, saying that you guys had an amazing draft, and Gray Zabel was a great way to start. Yeah. And beef up that O line, and let's get back to what works best, running the ball, playing hard nosed defense. Yeah.
And then running the ball, dude. We got
some studs.
Charbonnet is our backup.
Yeah.
And Kenneth Walker has been banged up a couple of different times, but even the backups. We had McIntosh blow up.
You guys got Damian Martinez. That was one of the guys from Miami.
I won't even pretend to know what his stats look like.
No. Yeah, but he was a lot of
heard
analysts.
Good things.
Yeah, a lot of analysts were talking about him out of Miami.
And then, our wide receiver room, we got Jackson. Yep. And then we have Cooper Kupp. Yep. If he is able to recreate anything of what he did with the Rams. And I hope he's got bad blood. I hope he comes in with that attitude. Yeah. So we got former Niners, former Rams, which is weird. I definitely don't like being on the other side of it. Dude, losing Sherm to the Niners 1 year, heartbreaking.
Didn't he only play with them for a season or two and then was like...
He went to the Super Bowl with them in 2019. Yeah. And he had a good little career with him. He got hurt a couple of times, but very first play on the Niners roster, runs a pick 6 against the Bucs, dude. And I'm just like, yep, that's what we let go. Yep. And Seattle's notorious for that, dude. We let superstars walk. Yeah. Bobby Wagner, bro. We got him back. He goes to the Rams. I'm heartbroken for the second time in my life. And then he comes back to Seattle, plays a Pro Bowl caliber season.
Now he's with the Commanders.
And when he's at the best, we're like, hey, what do we do with the linebacker position? Oh, yeah, let's let our rock star linebacker go.
Our possible Hall of Famer.
And now he had a Pro Bowl season with the Commanders, and I believe he'll have another one.
And I think the Commanders are on the up and up right now. They have the culture building. They have kind of the aura with Jaden Daniels there.
They got the swag. They got the culture.
They just got Deebo Samuel, who was only carrying the thing. It was Deebo Samuel up in San Francisco.
So you got on the defense side of things, you got Bobby Wagner's leadership. Mm-hmm. You got Super Bowl experience with Dan Quinn, our defensive coordinator in that 48 Super Bowl. Took the Falcons to the Super Bowl too. And yeah, he's just been good talent. And then he was with the Cowboys. I think those guys just never really learned how to put pieces together.
Yeah.
They had such good pieces at some point, and then they just kind of botch it.
Yeah.
Ego.
What do you
leadership ego?
What's your you know? I wanted to tell you that one of my favorite memories. I've been to Seattle. Me and my girlfriend went to Seattle, and we got to experience the stadium. We got to tour, and that was incredible. We got to go to the top where they had like a Toyota truck, I think, up at the top. We got to go there, see the whole stadium, and we loved Seattle. And the stadium tour itself was amazing. But what's one of your like favorite memories of your team? It could be like a memory of you being at a game, or it can be, you know, the Super Bowl. Just one of the memories that pops up in your head that's like, this was the best memory.
So live, when I went to that Thursday night game that we lost against the Rams, Geno Smith had to step up, and he played a good game. I mean, the Rams defense was just...
That was Aaron Donald, you said, right?
I got to see his first touchdown as a Seahawk right in front of us. Metcalf catches it, and he's just enormous, dude. You can just see live. I think we were, maybe 50 feet away from that dude, and you just see him, no problem. I'll send you the video. Maybe you can insert it right there so people can see it from that angle. But I'll share this story with you. Green Bay Packers versus Seahawks NFC Championship game.
Okay.
One of my favorite games of all time. I'm working at a furniture store at this point, and my client that I'm working with is a Green Bay fan. People are like, oh, you're going to get those shirts on clearance now, or that jersey on clearance. Like, everybody is talking all this shit. And this dude is talking shit too. And I think it's 16-0. And he's like, well, let's let you watch the rest of the game. Super condescending, man. I mean, and he's playing too. If roles were reversed, maybe I would have acted the same. But he was talking some mean shit, dude. If Packer fans want to blame anybody, it's this dude. That gave him all the bad karma. So we're there. Touchdown.
You're watching it?
Marsh live. We're watching the game. They're at the store, dude. We had all these screens up and everything. And 2-point conversion happens. And he's starting to get fucking pissed. Curse, touchdown, overtime. Storms. Doesn't say a fucking word to me. Leaves the store, dude. Next weekend, during the Pro Bowl weekend when they're playing, I think it was Irvin versus, I forget who it was.
Was it Jerry Rice?
Jerry Rice versus Michael Irvin. And I see him, and he's buying furniture from another person. That's how fucking pissed he was about the whole.
See you anymore?
No, dude, and I just smirk so big because I'm like, "Hey, what time did the Packers play next week?"
Time did they...
Which I like the Packers too. I mean, I don't hate on any of the other teams really. But yeah, dude, that was crazy. I mean, wonder what that would have been like. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady in that game. That would have been interesting, but.
God, okay, so that because like when I went to Seattle, I had a blast there. That stadium was unreal.
Wow.
And it wasn't even there. I wasn't there obviously during a game. There wasn't a game going on. So, you know, I didn't get to experience that. But if the Broncos play the Seahawks sometime, I don't know if we play this season. I haven't looked at the schedule.
We're not. Extra game is Pittsburgh for us.
Okay.
And we have to go to Pittsburgh.
So you have to go.
We'll see.
Yeah.
They don't have a quarterback, so.
Who's their quarterback? Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, Mason Rudolph.
They didn't take anyone in the draft. That's noteworthy.
They picked up somebody later, I think. But
They didn't take Shadur. They didn't take Cam Ward. They didn't take...
Obviously, their first pick made headlines because poor guy, his mom passed afterwards.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Like, it was sad, but I spun it to the side of, like, it was cool that he was able to tell his mom.
You got to cheer for those people, dude.
If no one knows, Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle that got drafted to the Steelers in the first round, I guess his mom, I don't know if his mom had been sick or what the case was, right? But basically when he got drafted, he went to the hospital to tell his mom that he got drafted. He was able to tell her that he got drafted, and then she passed away, a few hours later or so. So that was really, I spun it in the positive way of saying he was able to tell his mom.
That's cool, dude. It's so like cool. That's the shit that they make movies out of.
Absolutely.
Man. So it's cool. You can't help but to root for somebody that comes from hardship and stuff like that in anything.
What do you kind of think? We kind of touched base on that, but your evaluation of your team overall, like this next season and the future, like what
Good.
Do you feel good? Do you feel like what's
Good, not resting on my laurels or anything. Obviously, I don't control shit.
Yeah,
that's healthy. To,
Yeah.
I can't believe some people lose their shit like they do about their teams.
Yeah.
bro. It's like they go into depression and everything.
You're
and
like,
I
dude, you're
mean,
not the
I get
GM.
it.
Yeah, you're not a coach.
I'm harsher on my fantasy football team
Yeah, me too.
than I am on my
Me
own
too.
team because they're.
when I take
control
Christian
shit.
McCaffrey number 1 overall and he starts off the season on injured, I'm just like awesome.
I'm fucking done here.
I should have known better, man.
You brought that up.
Yeah.
I did the same shit that
Yep.
came to bite me in the ass for the championship
Oh my
game.
God.
But I think we got a good young coach.
Yeah.
Defense is solid. We'll see what Sam Darnold we get.
Yeah.
Obviously, he beat Geno Smith in
Yeah.
Seattle
Yeah.
at the end of the season. So I think Geno is a good quarterback too. I think he earned every bit of his contract too.
Yeah.
He just didn't have a finishing to him.
Yeah.
Like he had those one-off games where you give him the ball and we won close games.
I wrote. What did he say? I wrote to them, and they wrote to me. I didn't write back. Or what was the saying that he said?
Oh, I thought it was "Let's Ride."
That was a
Russ.
disaster in Denver. But
So I think all things happen for a reason, dude. I mean, you guys ended up with Russ.
Yeah.
That was a crap trade for you guys.
That was terrible.
Decent one for
we're
us.
still paying him.
Yeah.
I think we're still paying for like another 2 years.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
dude. That's insane. But you know what? I'm happy. I think that he'll do okay. But
Yeah.
I think the Russell Wilson era is
I think it's done.
kind of
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
I love that guy to death. He got Seattle the first Super Bowl, went to another one,
Yeah.
and then some of the most exciting games ever, dude. That dude and his arm just
Yeah.
created so many emotions for Seattle fans and non-Seattle fans.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I'm excited for you guys because I think Sam Darnold, like I said, is that bridge quarterback that can go in there and he's a coachable guy. He can demand the offense. They're going to listen to him. They're going to do well. If anything happens, if hey, it's time to like move on or whatever the case is, I think Jalen Milroe, that was an awesome pick that you guys took, that guy from Alabama, because he wasn't the most polished. He wasn't the Cam Ward. He wasn't Shadur Sanders and some people's eyes, but he went ahead of Shadur Sanders. You know what I mean? And he went to you guys, who's not necessarily a quarterback needy team, but you could be in a year or two, and that could be a great development for him.
he's going to be a sponge.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Darnold is a good example for him. And
Some people
he-
did that.
he-
I'm not comparing him to Pat Mahomes, but Pat Mahomes sat under Alex
Smith,
Like
yeah.
Tom Brady sat under Drew Bledsoe. Like,
Yeah.
again, I'm not comparing the young man Jalen Milroe to these guys. I'm just
Yeah.
saying some of the greatest quarterbacks that have played in our era sat under somebody else, and they were a sponge.
If I were to make a call on him, I don't think he will be like Lamar, but close to it.
Okay, yeah, they were saying he's very athletic. He's kind of a running style quarterback.
Yeah, and he seems to be very smart with the ball.
Yeah.
Again, asked me a week ago, I don't know this dude's
Sure.
name, but then I go back and start looking at some of the highlights,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? If we got
Alabama.
a pretty decent offensive line, which
Yeah.
it's looking like we're shaping that up. If I were to call out Seattle on anything, I think, we try to fix it with
Sure.
the draft.
Yeah.
But I think that that will be our weakness still. So defensive teams will have a ball.
That's always our weakness, is offensive line.
But yeah, I think if we can focus on getting him a little bit of run space and let him recreate something like what not Josh Daniels. Well, no, maybe Daniels, Josh Allen, Lamar. Their offensive lines open up these big ass holes for them to just run right through. And I think if we can do something like that for him, I don't think it happens this year.
Even like a Jalen Hurts. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he's mobile. He's, you know what I mean? He wasn't highly touted coming out of college.
That's one of the questions I had for you. Tush push. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Tush push. I think it should be legal. I think it's
100%.
fine. I don't see
100%.
an issue with it.
Go fucking recreate
Stop it.
If,
Yeah.
if you hate it so much, either perfect it or learn how to stop it.
Yeah.
You can do both.
You could do both. You could be doing it on the other side.
And the people are always like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, they
takes
have the
no
likes
skill.
of Jason Kelsey right there. He's gone 1 year. They won a Super Bowl. I wish he would have gotten the second ring, dude.
Yeah.
That dude's such a
And
good
honestly,
dude.
I think it's like people are like, oh, it doesn't take skill. And I one of the head coaches, I can't remember who it was. I don't know. I might have been the Bills coach. It was one of the coaches. said that there was like high injury risk with the tush push. I'm like, please,
Was
dude.
it them? I know the Packers were pretty upset about it.
It was one of the teams. I don't know which one it was, but I was like, dude, they're literally just in a ball. They're just pushing forward. I'm like,
Dude, if the Bills said that, they're only pissed that it didn't work against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The 2-3 times that they tried it, like it was 4th and nothing.
Yep.
And all those times, I mean, the Chiefs stopped it there. They couldn't stop it against the Eagles,
Yeah.
which perfected it.
Yeah.
But go learn it. Go
Dude, that's
learn
what
how
I'm
to
saying.
stop it, or go learn how to recreate
I'm
it.
perfectly fine with it, dude. Like it's gonna like you have to stop it if you want to stop it, and if you want to, you have to perfect it, like you said on offense. If you want to learn from them, you gotta be able to do it. You know,
It's like, I think just being smart and bringing something new to the
they
table.
just want to complain.
Yeah.
I think the teams are.
We don't play them this year, so they can tush push all they want.
Yeah, I don't think we play. Do we play the Eagles? We play the Cowboys. My girlfriend's a Cowboys fan. Her whole
Oh, yeah?
family is, and I'm like, we might have to make a trip. I think it's in Denver.
That'd be a cool game.
Yeah, so I was
That's
like,
awesome.
we might make Cowboys. You know, I don't think we play you guys. So.
Who have you seen live before?
So I've seen Broncos, and I've seen the Niners against the Broncos. I've seen the Broncos against. This is a cool story. You go back to talking about Metcalf. I saw Broncos and Patriots in Denver when it was Tom Brady. It was Gronkowski, and I have a video. I'll have to show it to you, where they're warming up, and you know, obviously we got nosebleed seats, like
Yeah.
but we got closer before the game started, so we can be kind of close and take pictures and stuff. And I have a video of Gronkowski like by the pylon at the end zone. And
Big ass dude.
Dude, I'm in my video. My buddy was with me. He's like, dude, all you hear him say is, dude, he looks like a robot because he's so big. He's 6'6", 6'7". He's got that big old brace on his arm. Dude, I was like, oh
Monster.
my God, bro. Like,
Dude, how can you even catch the ball? Have you ever had a brace like that on?
Then-
like, how in the hell are you that mobile? Then
He was athletic, man.
Dude's a beast, dude.
Oh, and so-
you can't help but love that guy. Like, you can hate him because
well, they beat. So I watched that game. They beat us. Actually, the coolest memory that I have so far is I watched the Broncos and Chiefs game in Kansas City during COVID. So it was like a very limited stadium. But that was just cool, man. Like it was when they still had Tyreek Hill, and the fan base there, man. I got to give it to those people from Kansas City. They were so cool, so down to earth, Midwest.
Yeah.
Midwest. You know the just being so nice to you. They would talk crap. Oh, the Broncos suck, and then all of a sudden a beer would come down my way from the bar. You know,
No way.
or buy me a shot.
Okay.
You know, they're like,
That's
here's
cool.
they call them what do they call them? Chief bombs. And they're like red, like shots. Right?
Yeah.
So they would just send it down to the bar, and then they'd be like, "Hey, on me," you know.
See, that's
like,
cool.
It was a cool.
The Seahawks-Rams game that I went to, Seattle fans were dicks to the Rams fans that were there. And it's like, dude, come on, man. Be smart about your shit.
And I've heard a lot of things about the Bronco fans being like that, and it kind of makes me sad because I'm like, why? Like that sucks. Like I don't want to be known as the asshole fan base. You know what I mean? Like, but no, the Chiefs fans, man, shout out to those guys. They were awesome people in Kansas City, and that was, even though we lost, it was actually a pretty close game for the. I think I can't remember if it was Drew. I think we had Drew Lock. Like it was pretty bad, but it was.
I like Drew Lock.
Yeah.
And he's back in Seattle.
Yeah, he is.
That's crazy.
I think that's when we either had him or one of those bridge quarter, like Trevor Siemian. You know what I mean? It was one of those guys. And they had Pat Mahomes. They had Tyreek Hill.
You guys let the legend Brock Osweiler walk right after that Super Bowl win, bro.
Don't forget about Paxton Lynch, bro. That was our other
royalty, man. You guys just had bad luck, dude. I think I can see why they went with those people. Like hindsight's always 20/20 now, but yeah.
And we don't even know Bo Nix. Like I like Bo Nix a lot. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna take a little bit to
never know if you got a RG3 type of career where an injury can just set you off.
Or it could be a diamond in the rough. He's not really a rough because we took him in the first round, right? So it's not like it's not like a steal. We didn't take Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
6th or 7th round, or Tom Brady. You know what I mean? So we took him in the first round. So there's a lot of hype around him. So I'm like, okay, let's give this guy some weapons.
Yeah.
Let's coach him up. You know, and I think that he's in a good position right now.
So who ends up in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you first. You go first, and you can be biased or you can be honest. Whatever you want to do.
I think if I want to have fun and watch a good Super Bowl, we watched Lions-Bills, which I think we deserve this year.
That. Yeah.
Of course, I'm not an Eagles or a Chiefs fan, so they might say otherwise. Good for the Eagles, by the way, to get their revenge against the Chiefs, dude. That had to have felt great.
And honestly, I hate the Chiefs. So that made me feel real good watching that Super Bowl, watching Travis Kelce pissed off that they couldn't stop him, watching Pat Mahomes that they kept getting to him. That made me really happy.
But if I were to play it on what my knee jerk reaction to call it, I think Commanders Bills would be the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Commanders Bills would be this.
I could not be mad about that. Commanders Bills, like you said, Lions Bills. I would be really happy with that. I just want to see the Bills get there
Or get the Cat Bowl, Lions versus Bengals.
Lions Bengals. But yeah, man. Do you have any other questions? Anything else you want to say? Or
No, dude, I'm stoked for the season. I think for sure I'm going to go catch a game this year too.
Nice.
We always got Arizona right next door here in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And we'll play at least one game there, so I might go check it out there.
There you go.
Or I might not, because that field is haunted. Like I started this whole thing.
Yeah, there's a curse there, bro. Be careful walking
crazy,
in, dude.
man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, it should be fun, dude.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a fun season, and I'm looking forward to
Fantasy season.
football
Yep.
again. I think I'm going to be in 4 leagues this time around, dude.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. So
Yeah.
and it'll be 4 if. You know the idea
The
that I
league that we
ran
have.
by
Oh,
you,
yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna
We'll cook it some
actually
stuff up.
actually after we're done recording this, we're gonna record our shout out or our
Nice.
calling them out.
There you go. Let's
letting
do
them
it.
know
Let's
what's
do
up.
it. Yeah, let's do it. Show
Sweet,
up.
man.
Show up or show out.
Well, awesome,
Dude, I
Good
appreciate you,
talking
brother.
to you, man.
Man,
always
it was
fun.
a great show. You guys like, subscribe, share, comment, do whatever you guys got to do to support the boy, Red Zone Chronicles. And again, thank you guys so much for supporting us. And big shout out to Hector for coming on and carving out some time on a Wednesday. So,
This was fun, dude. This was fun.
So thank you guys. See you guys later.